Welcome guys. Today we will do detailed question by question analysis of entire paper 2 of code 55, which is HRM and labor welfare subject of UGC NET. So this for June 2021 attempt. For June 2021 attempt, the paper was conducted on 5th of December 2021. So we'll do detailed analysis of all 100 questions of paper 2. Before we start with that, I want to share three things with you. Number one, so this video is on detailed question by question analysis, but if you want to understand the overall picture of what has been the trend of cutoff, what you can expect in 2022, what is weightage of different topics in the paper, what is the difficulty level of the paper, what we can learn from 2021 paper, how to prepare for 2022 attempt. For all these things, there is another video on the YouTube. Please go and look at that. The link to that video is also given in the description below. Then there is a second link given in the description below. So if you want to understand how you can prepare with Human Peritus for Code 55 HRM paper, click on that link. That will take you to our website. On our website, understand the structure of program, look at some demo classes to understand how we teach in live classes, look at sample content. You can also watch the experiences of some of the candidates who have already cleared NET and JRF. So look at their interviews and you can understand how you can prepare with Human Peritus. Then there is a third link given in the description below. So if you have anything on your mind which you want to discuss with us, you want to ask us, you want to share with us, you want to agree with us, you want to disagree with us, feel free. So by clicking on third link, you will get connected to our team directly via WhatsApp. Click on that link, get connected on through WhatsApp. Feel free, share anything, and you can let us know. So let's get started.
So in this question ID 1557, the question is asking what should be the maximum number of representatives in the joint management councils. So basically these joint management councils were introduced in the year 1958, and it was decided to have equal number of representatives of workers as well as employers in this joint management council, right? And the maximum number not to exceed 12. So the answer ID is 6226 to this question. 12 only. Next. Which country is called home of collective bargaining? So if you know that who has coined this term collective bargaining, that is Sydney and Petrice Webb. So they both belong to Britain, right? So this should be the answer to this question, that is Great Britain. 6235, and it was coined in the year 1891. Next question. When an employer asks employee to sign a type of loyalty oath stating that the employee would neither join nor participate in the activities of the union, this is known as what? This is known as yellow dog contract. So basically these types of contracts, they were used more popularly in America, USA, around 1920s. Okay. So this is the kind of precondition which was agreed upon between the employer and the employee, that in order to get the employment he has to give the oath to the employer that he will not participate in any of the activities of the unions. And this is very also important to know that later on these contracts were made unenforceable by passing of Norris Law Garcia Act, right? So the answer to this question ID question is 6254. Next is labor is not a commodity is the assertion made in which of the following? The Constitution of India, Magna Carta, Philadelphia Declaration of ILO, or Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So Constitution of India is a strict no answer to this question because there are no assertions into it. There are articles, right? So ILO, if we are talking about this Philadelphia Declaration of ILO, this is the answer wherein the conference was held in the year 1944, right? And it was all concerned about the objectives and aims of the ILO. So four of the assertions were made. So this plus three assertions were also there. Labor is not a commodity was the first assertion, and then freedom of expression and association are essential to sustain progress. And the third one was that poverty anywhere constitutes a threat to prosperity everywhere. And the fourth one was all human beings have the right to pursue their well-being and spiritual development. So the answer to this question is Philadelphia Declaration of ILO 6262. Next, who view trade unions as a means of representing the interest of workers through the strategies of mutual insurance, collective bargaining, and legal enactments. So basically, this view was of Sydney and Beatrice Webb. Okay. So the answer to this question is 6270. Next. We believe that if these committees, so basically the question is asking about works committee, if these committees are given proper encouragement and the past errors are avoided, they can play a useful role in the Indian industrial system. This statement is given by which commission? Royal Commission on Labor, that came in 1929 and presented its report in 1931. So this statement is basically talking about works committee. However, this recommendation on works committee was given a legal sanctity in the year 1947 through passing of Industrial Dispute Act, right? Which among the following is not a major type of safety audit? So if you look at the answers option, so you will get to know that we can make a inference. So compliance with standards, of course, in any audit we need to ensure that whether the prescribed standards have been complied with or not, right? So we have to struck only one answer, which is not a type of safety audit. So schedule audit is for which the time is prescribed. Unannounced audit is unannounced audit is that audit which is basically not announced in advance. So this could also be a type of safety audit, and safety audits are done to ensure the effectiveness of the various safety measures which have been adopted by the entity to safeguard its human and physical assets, right? So promotion of safe behavior cannot be the type of safety audit. So in any audit, we do not promote anything. Basically, we just check whether the standards have been followed or not. So that is the concern of every audit. So this can be inferred out of this thing, that promotion of safe behavior is not a type of safety audit. Rest all are there, right? So the answer to this question is 6292. Next, social insurance is described as giving in return for contribution and benefits up to the level of what? So up to the level of decent living or fair living, luxurious living, or subsistence living. So again, so what is social insurance? Whenever the contribution is made by the beneficiary, then only he gets the benefit out of that scheme. So to what extent his welfare will be taken care? To the extent of his subsistence living. So by the schemes of social insurance, we need to ensure that the bare minimum necessities can be made available to the contributory of the scheme, right? Okay, so the answer to this question is 6295, option D. Next, due to the operation of law of diminishing returns, the demand curve of labor, so like any other demand curve for a product, labor demand curve also slopes downward due to the law of diminishing returns. So law according to, so what actually is the reason for downward slope of demand curve is law of diminishing returns. So what does actually it mean? That the more we employ labor, the marginal product of the labor declines, and due to that the marginal revenue product of the labor declines further, right? So this is the reason for downward sloping demand curve of the labor. Okay, so the answer to this question is 6297. Next, usual status unemployment is calculated with reference to the date of the survey to a preceding period of. Now this question relates to labor surveys. Okay, so under labor survey, basically we have to determine what actually is the rate of unemployment or number of people employed during a particular year. So basically, in order to determine the rate of employment and unemployment for a particular period, three kinds of reference periods are taken under different headings. First one is usual status, and the second one is weekly status, and the third one is daily status. So for these two, the reference period of 7 days is taken, and for usual status the unemployment is calculated taking a reference period of 365 days or a year, right? So the answer to this question is 6304, 365 days, because the question is asking about usual status unemployment. Okay, next, full employment is said to exist if, so right now first of all we'll be ignoring this option. Let's go through all the three options. The actual rate of unemployment does not exceed the natural rate, the actual rate of unemployment exceeds its natural rate, or where the actual rate of unemployment is equal to natural rate. So this is the last option is the correct option to this question. Why? Because what do you mean by full employment? First of all, we should know what is full employment. Full employment is the state wherein everyone in the economy who is willing to work and who is able to work gets the job, right? And even in the situations of full employment in an economy too, there is certain kind of unemployment always exist. Certain kind of employments always exist also in the case of full employment. That is the structural employment and frictional unemployment. So basically, what are these two types of unemployment? Frictional unemployment occurs whenever the people changes their job. So the time period for which they are unemployed, that is frictional unemployment. And what is structural unemployment? Structural unemployment happens in the economy because of the changes in the structure of the economy, right? So these two kinds of the unemployment always be in existence even if there is full employment in the economy. So that is why it is said to exist if the actual rate of unemployment is equal to natural rate, right? Okay, fine. So natural rate of unemployment includes these two types of unemployment, structural and frictional unemployment. So that is why the fourth answer to this question is correct. Next question. The labor movement prepares the ground wherein the seed of the trade unionism grows. Who said this? So this was said by S.D. Punekar. S.D. Punekar. So the answer to this question is 6318. Which among the following are the determinants of the supply of labor? Product demand, preference for work versus leisure, number of firms, numbers of qualified suppliers. So out of 4 options, we have to choose only 2 of the options in the final answer. If you look at the final options given, only 2 are the answers from these sub points, right? So we need to check that what are the determinants of the supply of labor or not. So firstly, we are talking about supply of labor, not demand of labor, right? So supply of labor curve, normal labor supply curve is like this, right? So what are the determinants of the supply of labor from the factors which are given here? Preference for work versus leisure. So first of all, product demand. So product demand will not decide the supply of labor. Supply of labor will be decided by the suppliers who all are ready to work, who all are willing to work. So number of qualified suppliers is a short answer to this question. So now you can rule out these two options. Now we are left with these two. So either of these two can be the correct answer. Now looking at the other choices. So number of firms or product demand, so they are not determinants of supply of labor. Okay, so they are the determinants of the demand of labor. Preference for work versus leisure, so it is nothing. Basically what happens whenever there is increase in the income of the workers, either they are induced to work more. So two things can happen with the increase in the wage rate. Either they are induced to work more, right? Or they can also induce to spend their time leisurely in leisure activities. So they can switch over to leisure activities instead of doing more work. So this can also be the this will also be the determinant of supply of labor. Okay, so leisure activities. So that is why preference for work versus leisure. So this is known as substitution effect and this is known as income effect. So these two effects play a great role in determining the supply of a labor at a particular point of time. So preference for work versus leisure and number of qualified suppliers, that is the correct answer, correct options to this question. So B and D 6360 is the perfect answer to this question. Next, which among the following are theories of labor welfare? Social responsibility theory, placating theory, public relations theory. So it's a totally theoretical question. And if you have gone through the labor welfare theories, two of the theories are included from the options given below. That is placating theory and public relations theory. So placating theory, according to placating theory, what gives need to the labor welfare activities on the part of the firm? Whenever labor becomes more organized and whenever they are more conversant about, they become more conversant about their rights, then the organizations are bound to provide for more and more labor welfare facilities. Okay, so this is the crux of the placating theory. And public relations theory that as the name suggests, as a PR activity, because the organization wants to build up its image, so that is why it is going to provide for various kinds of labor welfare activities. So these are the two theories of labor welfare, placating theory and public relations theory. So B and C 6363 is the correct option to this question. Next, who among the following are the founder members of the Red Trade Union Congress? So from the four options, three are confirmed because they are giving you in the final option, they are giving you at least three names, right? So ASV Deshpande, BGL Khandelkar and CBT Ranadiv. So RTC was actually formed in 1931 when there was a split in AITUC, All India Trade Union Congress. So it was formed in 1931. Okay. So these were the founder members: SV Deshpande, GL Khandelkar, and BT Ranadiv. So 6374 is the correct answer to this question. Next, Which of the following are the ways of determining a representative union for the purpose of collective bargaining in India? So what does the question says? The question is not about collective bargaining, but the question is about representative union for the purpose of collective bargaining. So represent uh, whenever there is one single union in a particular industry, so there is no much doubt about the representative character of the that particular union, because only there is a single union which is existing, right? So what if there are more than one union in a particular industry? So who should be given representation, or who should act as a representative union on behalf of all other unions for the purpose of collective bargaining, right? So this is a concern here. So by way of code of discipline, by way of this secret ballot, check off system, membership verification, all these were the ways prescribed for determining a representative union for the purpose of collective bargaining. So what actually collective bargaining is? Collective bargaining is where the negotiation is taking place between the employer and the workers for with respect to conditions of service or labor, right? So this code of discipline, these are the these came into picture in 1957. Okay, and the main concern of code of discipline, these principles were to settle the dispute between the employer and the workers, right? And uh, this secret ballot, so again this is a mode of selecting the representative union wherein the workers of various unions have been given authority to vote for which to vote for that union for which they want the union to become representative union, right? Okay, so it is like general elections. Check-off system is whereby the employer deducts certain amount from the wages of the workers uh, towards trade union dues. Okay, so how this is ensuring representative union? It is ensuring like, so the worker itself is stating at the time of employment only that if any check-off system is prevailing in the enterprise, then I will be paying my dues towards a particular trade union. So he himself would be naming that. So by this thing only, the one can get to know that where the affinity of that worker is, with which association he wants to be connected. Okay, and membership verification is nothing, it's a verification of membership of the trade unions by the statutory authority, right? So these all are the ways of determining a representative union for the purpose of collective bargaining. So the answer should be 6380, wherein all the options are covered. Okay, next, who among the following took the lead in organizing the Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce? So the question is talking about FICCI, F-I-C-C-I, right? So FICCI, so if you look at the options of the questions, 3 people are involved. As per the final options, 3 people must be involved in organizing FICCI, right? So it can be any 3 out of the 4 options given, right? How would we identify that which one was not the leading party here, right? So if you check out D option, Dhirubhai Ambani, so the father of Ambani must be born somewhere around 30s or 40s. So this FICCI was formed in 1927. So one can get to know the answer by this hit and trial mode. So Shri Purushottam, so all 3 are left: Shri Purushottam Das, Thakur Das, um, Lala Shriram and GD Birla. So all took lead in organizing Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce. Okay, fine. So the correct option should be A, B, and C, that is 6390. Next, which two of the following organizations conducted a joint workshop on the subject of defining the informal sector in 1997? This is purely a theoretical question, and the answer to this question is National Council for Applied Economic Research and SEWA, that stands for the Self-Employed Women's Association. So both of these organizations conducted joint workshop in 1997, whereby the informal sector was defined. Okay. So the correct option is 6398. So as per the approved list of Indian Labour Conference, in which of the following three items should the Works Committee not normally deal with? So various options are given. So first of all, we need to understand that what the question is asking about. The question is asking about that what should not be the concerned areas of the Works Committee. So as per the approved list of Indian Labour Conference. Okay, so this Indian Labour Conference was held in the year 1959, wherein various illustrative list for matters to be dealt in by the Works Committee and matters not to be dealt in by the Works Committee was given. Okay, so as per that conference, so these were this wages and allowances, bonus and profit sharing schemes, matters connected with the fixation of the standard labor force, or gratuity or retirement benefits, or layoff and retrenchment, or housing and transport, provident fund, leave and holidays. These were the matters which were totally recommended as out of the purview of the Works Committee. So the as per this, the Work Committee should not normally deal with such matters. So what is left is administration of welfare and funds, right? So the correct option accordingly is 6402, A, C, and D. A, C, and D. So this is not the part of the this list. Okay. Next question. Which two of the following conventions of ILO related to freedom of association, right to organize, and collective bargaining have not been ratified by India? Very basic question has been asked from ILO conventions. So 4 conventions have been given. So if you remember the number along with their nomenclature of the conventions, you can easily recognize that these are the 2 conventions which have not been ratified by India. That is convention number 87. 80. So out of the 8 core conventions of the ILO, 6 have been ratified and 2 have still pending for ratification. That is convention number 87 and convention number 98. So 87 is freedom of association and protection of right to organize, right? And convention number 98 is right to organize and collective bargaining. So the answer to this question should be B and C, 6438, right? Next. Arrange the following Indian trade union organizations on the basis of their founding years from earliest to latest. So always look what has been asked in the question. Now they are asking the chronology of formation of these organizations in ascending order from earliest to latest. Okay, so you should remember here the years of their formation. So when was this? First among this was Textile Labor Association of Ahmedabad. It was formed in the year 1917, 1918, and then came Red Trade Union Congress 1931, and out of this the next one was Hind Mazdoor Sabha that came in 1948, and then UTUC came, United Trade Union Congress, that was formed in 1949, and last is Self-Employed Women's Association, that came in 1972, right? So this is starting from C. So C here is given in this option only. So C, B, D, A, and E. So this is the right chronology. So the answer to this question is 6513. Next question. Arrange the main schemes of workers' participation in management according to their year of formation from earliest to the latest. Okay. Now, JMCs, shop councils, board level participation is given, institution of employees participation in management for public sector undertakings, and works committee. So if you remember, works committee came in 1947. So again, we have to arrange these schemes from earliest to latest. Okay, so works committee came in 1947. Then came, I have told you that JMC were introduced in 1958. What about the next, that is board level participation for public sector banks? Okay, PSU banks, this participation was there, and this was introduced in 1970, and the shop councils got introduced in 1975, and then accordingly, institution of employees participation in management for public sector undertakings, this got introduced in 1983, right? So EA, so this one is the first. So everywhere E is first, EA. Next is A, Joint Management Councils, right? So this should be the correct option, 6521 to this question. Okay. Next, arrange the committees or commission in sequence from the latest to the earliest as per the year they were set up. So if you are aware of only 2 to 3, you can then also arrange them. This can also even be helpful in arranging the chronology. Now in this question, we have to go from latest to the earliest. Don't forget this, right? So which commission was first set up? Royal Commission, everybody knows that it got set up in 1929. So when did National Commission on Labor got set up? Everybody is aware, 1966. Standing Labor Committee, 1942. And then Labor Investigation Committee came in 1954, and Bihar Labor Inquiry Committee 1941. So what should be the correct sequence? It is starting from, so we have to provide the latest first. So latest out of all this is 1966, right? National Commission on Labor, B. It is starting from B. So the correct option should be this one only, B, then D, okay, B, D, C, and then E, and then A, right? Fine. Next. Now, this question is assertion and reasoning form. Financial inclusion is desirable to help the weaker sections of the society in the country. What actually financial inclusion is? Financial inclusion is an effort. It's an effort by which the financial services can be made available to each and every individual and business at very reasonable cost, right? So if it happens naturally, it is desirable to develop the weaker sections of the society. Why it is necessary to help the weaker sections of the society? So by taking up, like if these financial services are readily available to weaker section of the society, that would definitely lead to their upliftment. Now Reason is investment activity needs to be promoted to facilitate access to development benefits. So various kinds of investment activity needs to be developed at the national level. So investment means more and more saving and investment has to be promoted in the economy, so that banks should have sufficient funds available with them in order to promote such kind of financial inclusion activities, and thereby leading to development benefits. So accordingly, both the statements are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. So 6533 is the correct answer to this question. Next, intramural and extramural welfare. Again, an assertion and reasoning types of question. Intramural and extramural welfare facilities in organizations are mutually complementary. So what actually are intramural and extramural welfare facilities? Intramural activities are which are provided within the factory. Extramural are which are provided outside the factory. So intramural is like, for example, the employer is providing canteen, employer is taking care of crèche, employer is providing restroom. So these all are intramural. Extramural is like whenever he is thinking about the recreational activities of the workers, like they must be getting, relaxing hours in between the work. So, and they must not be under any kind of stress to come to job on daily basis. Like for example, if he is making provision for housing, education, or their child care, so all such activities are extramural. So of course these activities are complementary, they are not opposite to each other, and they are needed to ensure work life balance. Okay, so as to get best output from the employee. So again, this assertion reasoning are correct, both are correct. Again, an assertion and reasoning question. It is one thing to hold that the role of the state should be minimal, and quite another to hold that industrial relations should be based on only on bilateralism, right? Assertion is saying this. Okay, so assertion is saying that these are the two different statements. First is that the role of state should be minimal. So in order to handle any kind of industrial dispute, state intervention should be least. Okay, and industrial relations should be based only on bilateralism. So we should try, in order to maintain industrial peace, one should be ensuring that first of all the industrial disputes should get settled at the party level only, in between the parties mutually, right, without state intervention. Okay, fine. So bilateralism is when only parties are involved, parties who are disputes are involved, there is no state intervention. Okay, so reason given is bilateralism is an essential ingredient of the industrial relations, and both parties should rely on it as far as possible. So reason itself is explaining assertion here that yes, of course, bilateralism, it's the most important essential element of any industrial relations. Okay, and parties should resort to them as far as possible, but it cannot be denied that there is a role that mediation, arbitration, adjudication. So what actually mediation, arbitration, and adjudication? They only happen through third party intervention or state intervention. So there is no mutual, whenever there is no mutual agreement in between the parties, whenever there is a pure deadlock in between the parties, then state intervention is must. Otherwise, there will be much more violent conflicts, strikes, lockouts, resulting into total deadlock. So in order to avoid that situation, state intervention is also necessary to the extent. Okay, so first of all, bilateralism should be the philosophy, and in case the dispute cannot be handled mutually in between the parties, of course there should be a state intervention to prevent any kind of deadlock or to ensure industrial peace. Okay, fine. Again, the answer to this question is that both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. Now next question is, which among the following are the indirect cost of industrial accidents? So whenever we are concerned about cost arising out of any industrial accidents, we can bifurcate these costs under three heads. One is direct cost, the other one is indirect cost, and the third one is hidden cost. So indirect cost is different from hidden cost. Okay, so what actually direct cost is? Direct cost is basically which is directly attributable to the accident. Like for example, any compensation which needs to be paid by the employer to the injured worker, that is directly attributable, right? And most of the time these are predictable in nature. Okay, so predictable as in the sense, like, of course, if there is any industrial accident, the compensation has to be paid. Or if there is any injury, then reimbursement in the form of the medical expenses has to be done by the employer to the injured worker. And that is why these can be insured. So insurance on such costs can be taken. Okay. Now coming to indirect costs. So indirect cost, basically they are uninsured, right? They are not easily predictable. However, there is certain loss. And what account of what type of loss we are talking about here? That is loss of time. So any kind of loss of time, or which is any loss which is related to work. Okay, these are indirect cost of the industrial accidents, right? Like for example, loss of time due to spoiled work, right? Loss of production, loss of earning power. So these are indirect cost. Okay, so any damage which has occurred to the tools and equipment out of that industrial accident, or any spoilage which has occurred due to any fire, any usage of chemical or explosive. Okay, so these all are indirect costs. So these, wherein there is particularly loss of time and related to work. So these are indirect costs. Now these three are falling into this hidden cost, that is paperwork, legal issues, equipment. So these are far reaching costs. So these are not easily visible. Okay, so paperwork, whenever there is any industrial accident, lot of paperwork has to be done by the establishment. And of course, there are legal issues if the employer and the injured worker is not in agreement on any quantum of compensation, or whatever is the case, right? And equipment is like, I can give you the example of the equipment. Let's say that earlier the industry workers were working without the use of the helmets, but after the occurrence of the industrial accident, the helmets were made mandatory on that work. So equipment here means the arrangement of all the necessary items for doing that particular job in which that industrial accident happened. Okay, so all these are hidden costs which are not easily visible. Fine. So that is why the answer to this question is A and B only. Indirect cost. Loss of earning power, loss of production. Rest all three are hidden cost. Okay. So in hidden cost, we can also take up like loss of morale, or any kind of uh, training cost which is given to the workers uh, for training them, right? So these are also included in the hidden cost.
So
It says explaining a relationship between satisfaction and performance. Which of the following implicitly assumes that satisfaction leads to improved performance and dissatisfaction detracts from the performance? Okay, so basically it talks about two things. First is the satisfaction, and it is associated with the performance. Okay, so this is a clear case of content theory. What is content theory? Content theory of motivation says what motivate us. Okay, so in the options you can easily find out in the option C that content theory of motivation is the correct answer, which is option ID 6193. All the other options, which are A, Adam equity theory, attribution theory, and room expectancy theory, are the process theory of motivation, and it says how human behavior can be motivated. Okay. So the next question says the belief that conflict is not only a positive force in a group, but that it is absolutely necessary for a group to perform effectively is associated with which of the following? Okay, so basically, conflict as a positive aspect when we are talking about a group formation is only taken in the interactionist view. So it is a very direct question, and the correct answer is option ID 6199. Okay. Next question says Octapace is an acronym developed by Mr. Uday Parekh, which identifies 8 important values relevant to organization culture. Okay. So the question specifically asks us to expand Octapace or give the full form of Octapace. Okay. It is again a very straightforward question, and also in the option A you can get the right answer. So openness, confrontation, trust, authenticity, and so on. So the correct option ID is 6202. Okay, moving forward to the next question. So consideration and initiating structure as the dimensions of leadership were identified by which of the following? Okay, so basically consideration and the initiating are the dimensions of leadership behavior description questionnaire, which is developed by the Stott Gill in the times of 1940s. And this was developed in the Ohio Studies of Leadership, and therefore the correct answer is option Delhi, which is option ID 6207. Next question says, explaining to understand human behavior, which one of the following emphasize that the person and the environmental situation do not function as an independent unit, but in conjunction with the behavior itself, reciprocally interact to determine human behavior? Okay, so basically it is talking about that human behavior is actually developed through observation in the societies and then imitating that behavior that we observe. So this is a clear definition or clear description of social learning framework, which is given by Albert Bandura. So correct answer is option ID 6313. Next question says, which one of the following is not a principle of coordination laid down by Mary Parker Follett? Okay, so Mary Parker Follett laid down 4 types of principle of coordination. They are principle of direct contact, principle of early start, principle of reciprocal relationship, and then principle of continuity. So option A is incorrect statement, and it is the right answer for us. So option ID 6328 is the correct answer. Next question is, who is also known as the father of the social system school of management thought? Okay, so the father of social system school of management thought is Chester Bernard. Okay, so what is social system school? It basically provides us the information that each organizational unit interact amongst each other, and that defines the management, and that should define how management should conceive as a notion. Okay, so the correct answer is option A, which is Chester Bernard. Now, next question. So in an attempt to integrate individual and organizational goals, who developed the concept of linking pin? Okay, so the concept of linking pin is developed by Ransin Likert. Okay, so our correct answer is option ID 6334. What is concept of linking pin? The concept specifically says that a person or an employee who is working within the organization is actually a part of 2 types of different working units. Okay, one unit for the one unit he is the leader of that unit, and for the other unit he is the staff of some other leader. Okay, so basically a person is also a part of upper management according to him, and this person is also a part of lower management, right, with respect to this person. Okay, moving forward to the next question. The next question says, taking into account the characteristics of transnational managers, the 3 core roles and responsibilities, which are first, worldwide business strategies. Okay, second, architect of an asset and resource configuration. Third is cross-border coordinator and controller. Okay, so there are three roles which are described here, and based on these three roles, we need to provide information that this forms a part of which form of management. Okay, now let us eliminate the options. So geographic subsidiary management. Okay, definitely if we are talking about worldwide business strategies, this should not be the correct answer. So third option is top level corporate management. Yes, it is a top level corporate management, but we can find a more appropriate answer. Okay, let us see that. Let us see option D, worldwide functional management. So what is functional management? So functional management is actually a specialized is actually a type of management in which we organize our the structure of the organization into terms of functions of the organization. Like marketing would be a one function, finance would be a one function, production would be a one function. So this is what management, but functional management is very specific term, so this should also not a correct answer. But if you see option B, which is global business management, it can encompass all the three rules, and therefore by the rule of elimination we can go to the option of B, which is global business management. Okay, moving forward to the next slide. Who among the following focused on the soft side of organization as a sequel to globalization, comprising adhocracy, simple structure, divisionalized form, machine bureaucracy, and professional bureaucracy? Okay, so these five are actually the organizational structure which was given by Henry Mintzberg in their organizational configuration, right? So these are called Mintzberg organizational configuration. So the correct answer is directly option C, which is option ID 6346. Okay. Moving forward to the next slide, it is the match the column. So there is in the one list there are type of MNCs. In the two list, what is the focus of these MNCs? Okay. So the best way to do match the column is always the elimination method. Okay, so how would I attempt this question? Well, you can see, if you see the C here, it is domestic, and if you see the list two, the only one talks about the export. Okay, well, domestic is definitely going to related to the home market also, and export also. So straight away in the option C, the given is C is 1. So therefore my answer would be option ID 6466. I won't going to be going to other options, okay, because they are very close options. So therefore but for the sake of understanding, we can see that A is option 3, which is global strategy, low cost and price competition. Global is local responsiveness and global integration. International is actually now the next question is, it provides in the list one types of thinkers, and in the list two it provides the learning theory that has been given. Okay, so Ivan Pavlov has given the classical conditioning. B.F. Skinner has given the operant conditioning, which talks about reinforcement behavior. Okay, Albert Bandura has given a social learning theory, we already talked about. Fred Luthans has given SOBC model, okay, which is stimulus, organism, behavior, and consequences. Okay, so the correct answer according to this is option ID 6475. Okay. Now next question. So these are actually theories of international HRM. Okay, you can read with that. So basically product life cycle theory is given by RG Vernon. Okay, so A is 2. You can see A is 2 only in these two options. Transactional cost theory is given by Dunning. So B is 3. It is given in this option. So therefore this is the correct answer, which is 6477. And again, competitive cost differentiation will be given by Heckscher Olin. Relative comparative cost advantage theory is given by David Ricardo. Okay. Next question. So in the list one, there is a theory. There are the theories of group formation. In the list two, there are the characteristics. So propinquity theory. So propinquity theory talks about that people do gel up when they are from the same geographical or spatial location. So A is definitely 4. Again, option ID 4. A is the only option. This is the only option where A is related to the 4. So this must be the correct answer. Balance theory talks about similar attitudes towards common relevant objects and goals. Exchange theory talks about reward cost outcomes of interaction. George Hobbins theory talks about activities, interaction, and sentiments. Okay. Next question. List 1 contains the thinkers who has given the theories. List 2 is the description related to that thinker. So Elton Mayo, relates to Hawthorne effect. Okay, so A is definitely 2. FW Taylor is related to principle of management. Again, B is definitely. So Henry Chester Bernard. So we have already studied that Chester Bernard is related to the social system approach. So D is definitely 3, and therefore correct answer is option ID 6489. Next question. So next question is described as the steps of process of learning. Okay, we need to arrange these steps in the correct order. Okay, so this question does not require, I mean, some academic knowledge. This can be done just by using some sense to it. Okay, so just if you see here, first should be the acquiring knowledge. Okay, so this is the option given. Okay, second should always be assimilation or retention. We acquired some information or knowledge, and then we are assimilating and retaining that information. Then after retention, what we do, we internalize that information or knowledge. So BAC should be an order, and this order is given again in this option ID. Okay, now after internalize, we can use for our you can use this knowledge, and then we apply this knowledge, and this should be D. Okay, after apply, obviously after apply you can self monitor, and therefore BACDA is the correct BACD is the correct order. Okay, so option ID 6498 is the correct answer. Moving forward to the next question, which of the following are the advantage of group activities in accordance with the function of an enterprises? Okay, so basically functions of an enterprises means functional organization. We are talking about first functional organization, and we are talking about the advantages of functional organization. So option A is logical reflection of functions. Yes, definitely in the functional organization, logical reflection would be there. Maintain power and prestige of major functions. Yes, obviously when there is a separation of when the organizational structure itself is in the line of functional management, so there will be some maintenance of prestige. Okay, follows principle of occupational specialization. Yes, definitely this is also correct. Responsibility for profit is at the top only. No, this cannot be deduced, or should say advantage of that, so this is not the correct answer. So ABCs are right choices, and option ID 6425 is the correct answer. Okay, moving forward to the next question. So choose the correct options regarding the theory of motivation. Okay, so these are the content theory which are given here. So theory X and Y are similar to each other. No, these theories are given by Douglas McGraw, and these theories are not similar. Theory X talks about that, assumes that employee is not self motivated. He or she is negative. But theory Y says that employee himself or herself is self motivated. Okay, now two-factor theory is derived by Douglas McGraw. No, two-factor theory is derived by Mintzberg. So this is not the correct answer. The concept of ERG theory is similar to Maslow's hierarchy. Yes, concept of ERG theory is similar to McGraw theory, Maslow's hierarchy needs theory. So basically, it talks about existence, relatedness, and growth. So these are the three needs which are simultaneously play their role in the ERG theory. So this was derived from the Maslow's hierarchy need theory. So this is the correct option. Mackland has identified the need for power, need for achievement, and need for definition as the motivating needs. Again, this is the right answer. So C and D should be our right choices, and this is given in option ID 6407. So this must be the correct answer. Okay, next question. So this is assertion reason. So assertion says that structural inertia is an organization resistance of process to change because organizations have a built-in mechanism to produce stability. Yes, definitely that there is an organizational structure which has its own rigidity as well as stability, and that is its own comfort. So whenever an organizational change is introduced, there will be some structural inertia. So this must be right. Reason says people with high need for security are likely to resist change because it threatens their feeling of safety. Okay, so basically reason talks about a personal issue, and assertion talks about an organizational issue. Well, organizational issues has many aspects. It involves employees also, it involves culture also, it involves climate also. So therefore reason itself is correct, but it is not the correct explanation of assertion, and therefore the correct answer is option D, which is both A and R correct, but R is not the correct explanation of A, and option ID 6542. Okay, so moving forward, so there is a comprehension. So basically, this comprehension talks about the ill effect of social media on human behavior. Okay, how we are becoming self-centric, and we are engaging ourselves into the phones and into our lives only. Okay, ill effect of social media on human behavior. Okay, so first question says, what is not considered as a part of normal behavior these days? Okay, so if you see paragraph 2, you can easily extract the answer. You can see the line of last line, part of normal behavior, and after reading this, you can get the point that following the traffic rule is not given. So this must be the correct answer. As well as by using your own general sense, you can read that following the traffic rule is positive, and we are talking about negative. Okay. Next question. So what is not included in the identification of low profile individual? Again, if you see first paragraph last line, you can get the answer. And this specifically says that low profile is labeled as sissy, simple and regressive. So correct answer is attractive, which is option ID 6563. Okay, next question. When it is easier to be nasty? Okay, so when one in a public, when one is not face to face, when one meets the other person, when one talks in a group. Again, well, I don't need to even see the comprehension for this question. It specifically talks about a new form of digital generation that we all are, facing, which are netizens, right? When one is not face to face, in that way you can easily, condemn something. Okay, so correct answer is option ID 6570. Okay, moving forward, we are becoming increasingly rude because social media encourages such behavior. We are not concerned about other feelings. We are subjected to modern day stresses. Even in the last paragraph, you can get this answer that social media encourages such behavior that we are becoming increasingly rude. Okay, so let's move. Let's move on to the next slide. In order to be fashionable and cool these days, one has to be dressed, funny, intolerant, and knowledgeable. Again, in the first paragraph, last line, second last line, you can see if we are rude, loud, intolerant, and aggressive, this has become a new type of cool these days. And so correct answer is 6556, option ID 6556. Okay. So this is it's a very good comprehension, I must say.
So the question is, who developed the Warwick model of HRM? The correct answer is Henry and Pettigrew. These were the two scholars of University of Warwick, hence the name Warwick model of HRM. This model basically considers both the company's strategy and the HR practices, and it further demonstrates how the inner and the outer contexts interact with the organizational strategy. So the correct answer is 6210. Next question. Which one of the following is related to the on-the-job training? What is on-the-job training? On-the-job training is the kind of training where the employees are trained on the job, like they are given the hands-on training for the kind of job they are going to take up while they are inducted in the organization. So among the following options, the correct one is the committee assignments. What is the committee assignment? It is basically the method in which the trainees are asked to solve an actual organizational problem, and all the employees work as a team and they offer the solution to the problem. All right, so correct option is 6213. Let us see the other options, which is case study, role playing, and special classes. All these options are off the job training methods. This, and this are off the job training methods. So this one is the correct answer, which is 6213. Next question. The process of estimating the quantity and quality of people required to meet the future needs of the organization is called. See, it is very clear. It is a very easy question because as the name suggests, the correct option is 6220, which is demand forecasting. Here, the question is talking about estimating the quantity and quality. Estimating clearly is for, indicating on forecasting. So even if you had no knowledge about this, you could clearly mark this as the correct option. And let us see the other ones: human resource audit, managerial judgment, and supply forecasting. No, this is based on actually a common sense based question also. So the correct option is 6220, which is demand forecasting. Next question. Job analysis is the procedure for. So what is job analysis? it is the procedure for determining the duties and skill requirements. The correct option is 6222. It is based on the basic definition of job analysis. What job analysis does is it determines the duties and the skill requirements. And job analysis consists of two parts basically: job description and job specification. Through both of these components, the job analysis provides the information about the duties and the skill requirements. Let us see the other options, which is allotment the duties. See, here also the option is talking about duties, but here it says allotment the duties or allotment of the duties. No, job analysis only determines or specifies what would be the duties or the skill which will be required in performance of a job. So allotment of duties is not a correct option. It has been given just to confuse you guys. Okay, this is incorrect. Describing about the remuneration, job analysis has no relation in determining or describing about the remuneration. Fixing the responsibility, again it is given for confusing or creating a confusion, because fixing the responsibility is no job for job analysis, or it is not a part of job analysis. It only describes the responsibilities which are related to the job. All right, fixing of those responsibilities is not, it does not come under job analysis thing. All right, so the correct option is 6222. Next question: which one of the following is not concerned with a job description? Now, in the previous question only I have told you that job analysis has two components, which is job specification and job description. Now the question is talking about components of job description. See, job description is basically the component of job analysis which tells us or which gives the following information, such as the title or the position in the job, title or position, job summary, working conditions, whom to report to, etc. Whom to report to is the supervision given. So basically इनमें से कौन सा component नहीं है job description का? It is experience, because it comes under job specification. It is not a part of job description. So the correct option is 6310. Next question: a set of human resource management policies and practices that promote organizational effectiveness is known as. The correct option is high performance work system. What is a high performance work system? It is basically a specific combination of HR practices, the work structures and processes that enhances the employee's skill, knowledge, commitment, and ability, that finally promotes the organizational effectiveness. If you must have read about this definition of or the meaning of high performance work system, you could mark 6340 as the correct option in one go. All right, let us see the another question options also. Human resource audit system. No, I mean, this is not related to the statement given in the question anyway, because audit system is something else. It just tries to identify and address the problems in the HR system. Basically, what is human resource information system? It is a system to collect and store data on organizations' employees. So it is also not a correct option. Human resource management system. What is this? It manages the HR in the organization and the related processes throughout the employee's life cycle. So considering the meaning of all the options, high performance work system is the correct option. All right, moving to the next one. The quantitative gauge of a human resource management activity, such as employee turnover, hours of training per employee, or qualified applicants per position, is known as. See, all basically are the systems of, all the options are basically the systems of HR evaluation. All right, first of all, we must know where the question is coming from. It is coming from the systems of HR evaluation. All right, let us see the options one by one. Human resource appraisal. What is human resource appraisal? It basically analyzes the worth and the contribution of employees to the job. So according to the question statement, this does not seem to be a correct option. Next one, human resource benchmarking. What is human resource benchmarking? Basically, there are comparisons which are made between or within the organization for continuous improvement in the practices which are being followed in the organization. So it is also not a correct option. Human resource data analytics and human resource metrics. See, both of these options are quite close to each other. So you could have got confused between the two, but if you know the correct and the crisp meaning of both of them, you can clearly mark the correct option. See, what is the difference between human resource data analytics and human resource metrics? First, let us see what is human resource metrics. Human resource metrics basically gives us the key figures that help the organizations track their human capital, and they measure how effective their HR initiatives are. Certain kind of data are collected, for example, turnover, hours of training per employee, and qualified applicants. All right. So basically, it is talking about the data which is being considered in this metrics. Now, how is it different from data analytics? See, data analytics also collects a similar kind of data, regarding the turnover of the hours of training per employee, etc., etc. So the basic difference between both of them is that metrics do not talk about the cause, and it just measures the difference between the numbers. Okay, this is actually what the question is talking about. All right, let me tell you that the correct option is this. Which one of the following are the internal factors of recruitment? See, we have two kinds of factors affecting recruitment. All right. Internal and external. Internal includes what? Recruitment policies, HR planning, size of the firm, and cost of recruitment, etc., etc. And the external ones include supply demand, labor market, image, sons of soil, etc. So this is the basic information based on which the question has been framed. Now let us see what are the internal factors of recruitment among all the options available. These are A, which is recruitment policy, it is given here, and then the human resource planning, which is given here. Another one, sons of soil and image, ye dekho, these are given here in the external factors. So the correct answer is 6355, which is A and D. Quite easy one. Next question. Which one of the following are the key components of a third generation balanced scorecard? Okay, what is a balanced scorecard? Basically, it is a performance management tool, which is a performance management tool that kind of reports that is used by the managers to keep the track of the execution of activities by the staff under them and consequences of these actions. So the third generation balance scorecard is basically a version of this traditional balance scorecard, and it has four main components. All right, four main components. And let me tell you, all these components are given in the options. So A, B, C, D, all the options are correct in this. By which three of the following ways can an individual performance be planned? Now, by which of the following ways an individual performance be planned? All right, let us see the options. Task analysis, key result areas and goal setting, key performance areas, key description areas. Now, what is performance planning? Performance planning, basically, whether it is for the individual or for the whole organization, it comes under the topic of performance management system. All right. So performance planning, and specifically for the individual performance, there are certain ways in which this can be done. Let us see which all are there. KPA is key performance areas. All right. Then KRA, which is key result areas. Next comes the goal setting, goal settings. task analysis, action plan. All right. So what all are basically given in the option? Let us see one by one. Task analysis and activities. Yes, it is there. Key result areas and goal settings. Yes, it is there. Key performance areas. Yes, it is there. Key description area. It is not related to the planning or the process of planning of the performance. All right. So A, B, and C are the correct options, which is option ID number 6409. Next question. Which one of the following factors are given in Potter's diamond? See, Potter's diamond model is basically a diamond-shaped framework that explains that why specific industries in a nation become internationally competitive while those in other nations do not. Okay, so he has given a diamond-shaped model which has 4 factors. Let us understand it with the help of the diagram, which is actually in the shape of diamond. Here are the factors, conditions. Next is firm, strategy and rivalry. Next is related and supporting industries. Next one, last but not least, is the demand condition. See, all are related to each other. This to this, this to this, this to this, and this to this. Now, if you have this basic knowledge about what a Potter diamond model is and what are its, 4 factors which are included in this, you can clearly mark the correct answer in this. Let us see factor conditions. Obviously, it is there. Firm, strategy and a rivalry. Yes, it is there. Related supporting industry. Sorry, it is there. And then the demand condition. So A, B, D, and E. Which one is the correct option? 6432 is the correct option in this question. Next one. Which of the following are true relating to the potential appraisals? What is basically a potential appraisal? It is done to identify the hidden talents and skills in the employees. Okay. So let us see the options one by one. Inform employees about their future prospects. Obviously, potential appraisal करता क्या है? उनके employees के future prospects के बारे में वो उन्हें inform करता है. All right, this is true. Next one. Help the organization to chalk out a suitable succession plan. Obviously, if we know that what are the skill set being possessed by a particular employee, we can plan, this organization is able to plan the succession plan. What is the succession plan? Ki after a particular employee, who is the best suited employee to take his or her position if he or she retires or leaves the organization. It is also true. Third is update training efforts from time to time. Yes. When we know a particular skill or particular talents being possessed by the employees, we are able to update the training efforts. All right. Last is advise employees about what they must do to improve their career prospects. Yes, it is true. So basically, whenever there is a question regarding what is true regarding this and false, these become a common sense based question or basic understanding based question. If you know what potential appraisal is, it is very easy for you to mark the correct option. So all are the correct and answer is 6448. It should be put in a very easy category question. All right. Next is the match the following. Training techniques are given and the descriptions are given. It is again a very easy question, I must say. Okay, the first one is monodrama. Even if these terms, maybe you have not read about the training techniques, maybe you have skipped this in your preparation, but let us see the very easy terms to find a match for them. For example, skill games. See, skill games. This would go with what? Games are done for testing the analytical skills. All right. This goes with this. Strategic planners. Clearly, it is given ability to plan ahead. if you can find these two options ka match, you can easily, mark the another ones also correct. Otherwise also, let me explain you a little bit of these terms. Monodrama is, it is basically insight into a given interaction. It hota kya hai monodrama? It is a kind of role play. All right. While playing a role or by putting an employee into a particular position, and he or she has been asked to play the certain role in the organization or of a job, it gives them an insight into that given interaction related to the job. Next is mirroring. Mirroring is, it replicates the behavior, whether it is physical or verbal. So the match is training with an external perspective. We get to know how the another person is performing, so we get an external perspective. All right. So we have marked all the options as correct, and the correct option for this is 6481, which is A. A is 2, B 1, C goes with 4, and D goes with third one. Next question. The career management process can be sequenced in 5 stages. All right. Arrange these from the beginning to the end. What is career management? Career management basically is strategically planning and running your career. There are steps in the process, which are, first one is, let us mark it here only, strategize. This one is the first one. They strategize. Strategizing is setting the goals and objectives that one is seeking to attain while getting into a career. All right. Next one is assessment. First of all, let me tell you, all these are arranged in the perfect sequence. All right. So A, B, C, D, E is the correct option. 6502. Now let us see assessment. What would he assess? He would assess the options available to him, like which career to get into. Then he would plan like how to move ahead, what do he or she needs to do while getting into a career. All right, development, he would grow and he would get involved in the career, and he would try to develop and grow as much as possible. Last one is evaluation. Finally, he would evaluate whether the choice he made or whether the career he's actually into, all of these factors of the career he's into, are these matching up with the goals he set in the at the initial stage of his while he was planning his career. All right, so it was very easy, common sense based question only, and our correct option is 6502. Next question. Arrange the 4 levels of training evaluation from first to the last as given by Kirkpatrick. All right. Kirkpatrick basically he gave 4 levels of training evaluation. Let us see what he gave as. First one he gave as reaction. First he gave his reaction. Reaction is measuring how engaged an employee is in the organization. Engagement of the employee. Second is learning. Learning what? What they have or have not learned in the job that they have put into it. All right. Have or have not learned. Third is job behavior. Job behavior is how well the application of the training they are, how well they are applying the training they got to their job. Okay, application of the training. Fourth one is the results. Like the final results of the training are being seen here. Final results. See, this is the 4 levels of training given by Kirkpatrick, and the correct option is 6508. Like reaction is at 1, then and the last one. See, arrange the different phases of strategic planning in multinational firms starting from the beginning to the end. Okay. This question is simply like, first of all, what happens is they would do the internal and external analysis. This is also a very, common sense based on simple understanding based question. What a firm would generally do, it would first of all analyze the internal and the external environment or the factors which could affect their upcoming business or the present business. Number one is external internal analysis. Second is the strategic business unit. They would try to set up strategic units or separate business units to run their business. All right. Next one is entry and participation strategy. Now they would strategize for their entry, how they would enter the market, how they would start their participation in the market. So this is the third one. Last is the organization structure control coordination mechanism. Obviously at the end they would try to chalk out the structure the organization would have, the control and the coordination mechanisms the organization would be having. This comes at the last. So the correct option according to this is CABD, which is 6509. All right, moving to the next one. Arrange the following phases of internationalization from the first to the fourth phase as identified by Adler and Gather. Okay, according to Adler and Gather, the impact of the cultural background of a country or region, it differs from one phase to the next. And they have given certain phases, which is sequence of phases. Let us see them. First phase they gave is the domestic one. Here, the focus is on the home market. Next is the international one. Here the focus is on local responsiveness. Next one is multinational. Here the focus is on global strategy. In international, see it carefully. In international, there is local responsiveness, and in multinational, there is the global strategy they try to chalk out. And the last but not the least is the global one. Global one focuses on global strategy plus the local responsiveness. So in this sequence, the correct option is 6519, which is A, number 1. Then D, number 2, then 3, and then 4. All right, so correct option is 6519. Moving to the next one. All right, very easy question. List 1 and list 2. Terms are given and the description has to be matched with them. All right, first one is job analysis. It is the procedure for determining the duties, skills, requirements of the job. Job specification. Job specification tells us the human requirements of the job. Job description is the list of duties and responsibilities of a job, and job enlargement is assigning workers the additional activities at the same level. The correct option is 6461. Next one. Okay, now the next 5 questions are based on this particular paragraph. All right, I'm not going to read out all the passage in front of you. Let us go and see the crux of the passage. The passage basically focuses and revolves around the Chanakya's endeavors. Chanakya, who was Chanakya? Chandragupta Maurya's prime minister basically. He was, okay, the paragraph talks about Chanakya's theory of political efficiency. Further, the passage tells that his way was not only about philosophy and thoughts, but actions too. All right. And further, the passage talks about the Earth Shastra, which was written by him. So basically, all the paragraph talks about is Chanakya, Chanakya's endeavors, and his political philosophy, and etc. etc. So let us move to the questions. The first question asks what is Chanakya Niti? Basically, Chanakya Niti is, let's see the options: a complex way of thinking, no; a philosophy, an individual, a political treatise. Yes, it is the correct option. It is 6574. It was a political treatise. Political treatise is where the ways of statecraft and where the various philosophies and ways have been written, like how a state should be run in an efficient way. Okay, efficient statecraft around the world, how it runs and all. So the correct option is a political treatise. Next question. Chanakya amazes the scholars because of. Chanakya amazes the scholars because of what? Because of his ability to get people to think and achieve their dreams. Dekho, it has been given in this line of second paragraph. More about philosophy thoughts put into actions. Now, you could have got confused between 65-77, which is his character, because it is a clear statement here that that Chanakya amazes any scholar with his multifaceted character. But the option is given only character, so do not get confused with it. Go for the whole idea. He amazed the scholars with what? His ability to think and to act and then to achieve his dreams. He was not only focusing on thinking and then creating philosophies, he was acting also. So 65-80 is the correct option. Next one. Next question. In Arthashastra, Chanakya places the interest of the state, see the options, above any moral responsibility, at par with moral responsibility, below the moral responsibility. The state has nothing to do with the moral responsibility. So the correct answer is above any moral responsibility. We can see the options hint as here, that is Arthashastra elevates the state to a position where service to the state entails the imperatives unknown to morality. That is, any interest of the state is above any kind of moral responsibility. It was his philosophy, Chanakya's philosophy. So option number 65-83 is the correct answer. Next question. The modern day global diplomacy follows the principle of. It is a straight question, straight from the line, third paragraph, this line. The modern global diplomacy revolves around his principle of Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed. In English is translated as persuade, purchase, or set a price upon, punish, exploit the weakness. Which one is the correct option? 65-88 is the correct option. Next one. Chanakya identified the potential ruler from among which one of the following? It is also clearly taken from a straight line in the second paragraph. It is given here that he identified the potential ruler from a group of children. Read it till here and your work is done. Option number 65-92 is the correct answer.
So let's start with the first question. The question is saying, as per the provisions of Payment of Wages Act 1936, no fine shall be imposed on any employed person under the age of. So this is a direct question. It is given in the section 8 of the Payment of Wages Act. So move to the next question. Which one of the following articles of fundamental rights include equality of opportunities for all the citizens in the matter relating to the employment or appointment to any office under the state? He is asking about the equality of opportunities. So this is given under Article 16 of our Constitution, right? Under the section of the Industrial Dispute Act 1947, both the central and the state government have the power to constitute a court of inquiry. So this is under the section C. In this question, yeah, court of inquiry is very important, and you have to learn the sections for court of inquiry, conciliation process, conciliation officer, right? Labor courts, industrial tribunals, national tribunals. So here the sections become very important. So for court of inquiry, what will be the section number? It's section number 6. Move to the next question. An unauthorized strike, this is called for without the approval of the union, is commonly known as, it is wildcat strike. See, please manage, my handwriting is bad. Okay, it's not that much bad, but yeah, on tablet it's not so good. So yeah, come to the question. An unauthorized strike, that is called for without the approval of the union. See, no approval is given to the union. Some workers, they come together and they declare strike, right? So this is known as wildcat strike. So we'll discuss about the options given in this. Ban. What is ban? This is basically done for political. This is done by the political activists, and this is similar to a general strike. General strike, like some people do Bharat Bandh on several occasions, right? And then next is quickie strike. Okay, as the name defines, quickie strikes is just called a quick action. It is not pre-planned, it is not pre-decided strike, right? It is like a reaction of some action, right? Like maybe a failure of electricity, and then workers may do strike. This is called as quick strike. Now next one is sit down strike. In sit down strikes, what workers do is they stop working and they stop others to do work. So this is called a sit down strike, right? They go inside the premises and they stop others to work, and also they don't do work themselves also. So the next one is wildcat strike. This is the right option. Move to the next question. Okay, which one of the following authorities has the power to prescribe the certificate of fitness to workers in a factory under the provisions of the Factories Act? Okay, so it is the state government who has the power to make rules regarding the prescription, right? Whatever is to be mentioned in the fitness certificate, so that was prescribed by the state government. Okay, and this is given under the section 76. Excluding provisions of section 22 of the Payment of Bonus Act 1967, Payment of Bonus Act 1965, what is the maximum time limit within which the bonus should be paid by the employer with sufficient reasons? Okay, so what will be the maximum time limit? Okay, what is the normal time limit, like without any delay or whatever? So it is 1 month for Payment of Bonus Act, right? So, and what will be the maximum time limit if there is any delay? Because if the employer or employer, they mention some reasons, so the delay can be up to 2 years. So the option 4, it is the correct one, right? Okay. Under the provisions of Building and Other Construction Workers Regulation of Employment and Conditions of Service Act 1996, at least how many days before the commencement of the building work is an employer required to send a written notice regarding the construction of the building? Okay, suppose an employer is taking contract to build a building, right? So before the 30 days of the starting of work, commencement of work, he has to give notice regarding the same, right? He has to give notice regarding of the same to the at least how many days send a regarding notice to the construction of building, right? He have to give notice to the authority, appropriate authority, and the appropriate authority is decided by the government, right? So move to the next slide. If any question arises as to the application or interpretation of standing orders certified under the provisions of Industrial Employment and Standing Orders Act 1946, either the employer or workman can refer the same to the which of the following? Okay, so the Labor Code is the right answer, guys. This is mentioned under the section 13A of the Standing Order Act, right? Okay, so I guess you have read in Industrial Disputes Act, Labor Code, Industrial Tribunals, and National Tribunal. So there are some provisions which are mentioned under Labor Code. There are some provisions mentioned under Industrial Tribunals. Some matters which are decided by the Industrial Tribunal. There are some matters which are decided by the Labor Code, right? Adjudication is done by the Labor Code, and some matters the adjudication is done by the Industrial Tribunal, and matters of national importance are handled by the National Tribunal, right? So the matters related to the Standing Order Act, interpretation of Standing Order comes under our Labor Code, right? So this is the correct answer. Move to the next question. As per provisions of the Payment of Wages Act, the registrar's records relating to the payment of wages shall be preserved for at least how many years after the date of last entry? Okay, suppose last entry done maybe like today's date, right? Maybe done in the month of March. So the record should be maintained for after the 3 years till March, right? So okay, for how many days record should be maintained? It's for 3 years. So move to the next question. Which one of the following statement is correct with respect to the Minimum Wages Act? Okay, the part 1 is saying one schedule having 2 parts cover industries and agriculture. It is correct one. This is the schedule 1, in which part 1 is related to industries, and schedule 1, part 1, and schedule 1 Part 2. Part 2 is related to the agriculture. So first is the correct answer, and there is no more than one option type of thing. So others are incorrect, right? Consider the statements. Now next question is, consider the statements relating to the fines under the Payment of Wages Act 1936. Okay, so he is saying no fine shall be imposed on any employed person until he has given an opportunity to showing cause against the fine. Correct? You must have to give opportunity to the person to showcasing his reason why he delayed for that thing. Only then we can impose the fine, right? This is correct. The second one is saying the total amount of fine which may be imposed in any one wage period on any employed person shall not be exceed the 3%. This is again the correct one, and it's the direct line from your act. The next one is saying every fine shall not be deemed to have been imposed on the day of the act or omission in respect of which it was imposed. This is incorrect. See, and if an employee misconduct on like X day, right? Employee P is there, he did misconduct on X day, so employer have to impose fine for the X day for the XYZ conduct done on that day, right? Not for another day, like any other day on which maybe he's not done anything wrong, right? So C is the correct one. And D is saying fine shall not be imposed on an employed person who is under the age of 15 years. Absolutely correct, right? And E is saying all fines and all realizations shall be recorded in a register to be kept by the person responsible for the payment of wages. Absolutely correct. So A, B, D, and E. 4 are correct. A, B, D, and E. Yes. The fourth one is correct one, right? Okay. So guys, move to the next slide. Okay. The question is saying, consider the statement with respect to the minimum rate of wages fixed or revised under the Minimum Wages Act. Okay. So what is saying basic rate of wages or without the cost of living allowances or cost of living index. Basic rate of wages with or without the cost of living index. Yes, this is the correct option with respect to the Minimum Wages Act, right? This is the correct statement. The second one is saying basic rate of wages and a special allowances at a rate to be adjusted at such intervals by the appropriate government. Definitely true. Basic rate of wages and special allowances at a rate to be adjusted at such intervals as set by the appropriate government. And appropriate government is the authority, and appropriate government is the right authority to give any instruction regarding the Minimum Wages Act, right? And then third one is saying all inclusive rate allowing for the basic rate. This is also correct. These are the direct statements you will find in your Minimum Wages Act, and you have to learn all those statements, right? So the fourth one is saying the basic rate inclusive house rent. No, the HRA and traveling allowances are not included under the minimum rate of wages fixed or revised under the Minimum Wages Act, right? So this is not included in this portion. And D is incorrect. Comes to the E. Cash value of concessions, if any. Yes, definitely correct. Any concession, including in Minimum Wages Act after the revision of this act, right? So D is not included. So A, B, C, and E. This is the correct option. Move to the next question. Okay, it's saying consider statement in connection with the nomination under the provisions of the Payment of Gratuity Act. Okay. The first one is saying an employee who has completed 1 year of service shall require to make the nomination in the prescribed form. Definitely true. The employee who has covered 1 year, only he can make nominations in the prescribed form to get the Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, right? The second one is saying an employee in his nomination distribute the amount of gratuity payable to him against more than one nominee. Yes, definitely he can mention one or more nominee, right? So this is also correct. This is A is correct, B is correct. The C is saying an employee is required to make a nomination in favor of one or more members of his family if having family at the time of making this nomination. Absolutely correct. The D is saying if a nominee predeceases the employee, the interest of the nominee shall not revert back to the employee. This is incorrect. The interest of the nominee obviously can revert back to the employee, right? So E is saying a nomination once made by by an employee can be modified by the employee at any time with written notice to the employer. Definitely true. After giving notice to the employer, an employee can modify and can make changes in the nomination, right? So A, B, C, and E is the correct answer. A, B, C, and E. B is the correct answer, right? Move to the next slide. Okay, the facilities covered under the welfare and health of contract labor as per provisions of the Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act 1970. Okay, what are included in this? Canteens, yes. Drinking and water facilities, yes, it is included. Okay, creches. This is not part of Contract Labor Regulation Act, right? Okay. We'll come to this point after this. Come to the next point. Restrooms, yes, this is included in welfare activities of Contract Labor Act. First aid facilities, yes. For canteen, there should be 100 workers or more, right? Only then canteen facility should be provided to the contract laborers. Okay, and okay, then drinking facilities there, restroom facilities there, first aid facilities are there, and you have to cover the minimum number of employees covered. Minimum number of employees needed for these facilities, right? Okay, come to the creches. Creches is not included in Contract Labor Act, but yeah, it is included in your ESIC Act, your Maternity Benefit Act, and your Mines Act, right? Okay, the next question is, consider the following statement under the Building and Construction Workers Regulation of Employment and Conditions of Service 1996. So what are the statements including under this? The first one is saying, a building worker who has been registered as a beneficiary under the Act shall cease to be beneficiary when he attains the age of 60 years. So कब तक वो beneficiary रहेगा? Till he is getting 60 years of age, right? So second one is saying, a building worker shall cease to be a beneficiary if he has not worked for at least 90 days in a year. So what should be the criteria to be act as a beneficiary? You have to cover 90 days in building and construction worker sector, right? So the third one is saying, okay, if the building worker has been a beneficiary for at least 3 years continuously, immediately before attaining the age of 60 years, shall be eligible to get benefits. Definitely true. These are the direct point. It is given under your section 14. This is under your section 15, and this is given under your section 16. See, if you are able to learn the sections of the some of the acts, it's very good, right? Otherwise, important sections, so you must have covered that, right? So okay, and here I'm mentioning these sections just for your reference. Okay, the next one is saying, while computing the period of 90 days, the period of absence from the building or other construction work due to any personal injury, this is not mentioned anywhere in beneficiary section. So अभी तक तो ये रूल नहीं है, आगे कभी होता है तो हम देखेंगे, बट अभी तक ये इंक्लूड नहीं किया गया है बेनिफिशियरी पार्ट में, राइट? सो A, B and C, these are the correct options. So A, B and C. This is a statement in connection with the liability for payment of wages to the interstate migrant workers under the provisions of the Interstate Migrant Workers Regulation and Employment and Conditions of Service Act 1979. Okay, so you have to consider the following statement under the Interstate Migrant Workers Act. So let's see which options are correct and not. So option statement A is saying the contractor shall be liable to responsible for the payment of wages for each interstate migrant worker. Correct. Contractor is the person who is hiring them, so he will be the liable person. Second one is saying the principal employer shall nominate a representative duly authorized by him to be present at the time of disbursement of wages by the contractor. Definitely true. So the principal employer, who is start construction activities, right? Who is the employer? So he'll nominate a representative who is duly authorized by him to be present at the time of disbursement of the wages to the workers by the contractor, right? So B is also correct. C is saying it will be the duty of the contractor to ensure the disbursement of wages in presence of the employer's representative. Yeah, it is correct, because see, in B statement we come to know that the employer he nominate a representative, right? And in front of that representative, the contractor disperse the wages to the workers. So what he's saying, it shall be the duty of the contractor to ensure the disbursement of the wages in presence of the employer's representative. So basically B and C are interrelated and vice versa to each other, right? And so in statement D, what is saying, in case of contractor fails to make payment of the wages, the principal employer shall not be liable to pay wages to the interstate migrant worker. This is wrong. If contractor is not paying wages to the workers, it shall be the responsibility of the principal worker to pay wages to the interstate migrant workers, and later the principal employer can take those wages from the contractor, right? Match the column. So okay. There are four in this column. We have 4 trade unions given and the founders. So match the column. First is Madras Trade Union. One second. Madras Trade Union. The founder of Madras Trade Union is our BP Wadia, right? So the first one is correct. So A के साथ 1 आएगा, right? So see, you can easily eliminate now, na? So first, second, and third both have A is equal to 1. So last one not be the answer. Now AITUC. Okay, guys, you have to know the establishment year. So 1918. It's 1920. So AITUC, who will be the founder? It's Lala Lajpat Rai. Okay. So third one is ITUF, who will be the founder? VV Giri. So B goes with third, right? So this is the correct answer. So C के साथ है second, it's VV Giri, and INTUC के साथ आएंगे Surendranath Banerjee, right? So go with the next slide. So let's do this. Then okay, he's talking about first strikes and lockout. It's a part of labor code. The second one is saying shift working otherwise than in accordance with the standing order. Okay, so if अगर standing order यहाँ mention होता that shift related to standing order, then again it will be a part of labor code. But here it mentions shift working otherwise than the standing orders, right? So it's not part of standing order. It is comes under industrial tribunal. Industrial tribunal. Okay. Okay. The third one is saying any changes in contribution paid to the contribution paid or payable by the employer to any provident fund or pension fund. Okay, this comes under the notice condition of service for which notice is to be given. It is come under Schedule 4. Change in condition. Okay, this is come under part change in condition. The next one is saying failure to implement award, settlement, and agreement. This has come under unfair labor practices. Okay, so unfair labor practices come under Schedule 5th. Labor Code, it comes under Schedule 2nd, and the Industrial Tribunal, it comes under Schedule 3rd, right? So A goes with 2nd. A goes with 2nd. Okay. 1, 2, 3. This one, and then B goes for Industrial Tribunal and it's under Schedule 3. Schedule 3 is mentioned in first part 1. Okay, so this goes to this. Let's use some another color. See, इसका answer ये होगा. Okay, and then Industrial Tribunal goes with this. Okay, तो B match करेंगे. अगर हम B को B match होगा first से, right? So B होगा first से. तो second is the correct answer. Okay, committees are part of mindset. And then expert committees. Expert committees are part of building and construction workers, right? Again, safety committees. Safety committees are part of, I think all you know, the Factories Act. Okay. Then technical advisory committee. This is part of our child and adolescent labor. So move to the next slide. Okay. Arrange the following in a sequential order of the order from the beginning to the end, so far as the procedure of implementation of certified standing orders under the provisions of the industrial employment standing orders. Okay, so what will be the sequential order? First of all, what we have to do is we have to application of model standing orders. Okay, then employee have to design a draft. Third one will be okay, copies of the standing order communicated to the employer and representative of the workman. This is done by the certifying authority, right? After checking all the details, he'll give copy to the employer and the workman. All right. After that, modified copies of the standing order submitted before the certifying officer if required. अगर employer को इसके अंदर change करना चाहता है तो वो change करके modify करके उसकी एक copy कहाँ पे देगा वो certifying officer के पास deposit करवाएगा, right? And the last step after doing that thing, he'll implement the certified standing orders in his industry, in his establishment, right? So this will be the order. For then draft standing orders. The third one is sending copies to the employer and employee. The fourth one, modification if needed, and fifth, implementation, right? So E, A, C. E, fifth one will be the answer, right? Move to the next question. Events in the following legislation in order of their years of enactment from the earliest to the latest, right? So, okay, it's talking about minimum wages act. It's 1948, 36. See, I guess you must know Equal Remuneration Act सबसे बाद में आया है, right? And it will be 1976. तो payment of gratuity कब हुआ है? 1972, right? Payment of bonus act कब हुआ है? 1965. So what will be the first answer? Payment of wages will be at first number. So B. B is first. This is the correct answer. B A D B A D C E. Okay. Move to the next slide. So, which three welfare schemes for unorganized workers the central government shall formulate and notify time to time under the Unorganized Workers Security Act 2008. Okay. So what will be the welfare schemes covered under this act? Okay. So let's check with the options. First is life and disability cover. Yeah, this is correct. The central government covered this under welfare scheme, and then second one is saying protection of employment cover. No. See, they are not giving any kind of like welfare to workers related to their protection of employment, right? If they are employed, they are providing them health benefits, their old age benefits, and life and disability cover in any kind of accident or threat to life, right? So, but they not provide any protection of employment cover. Health and maternity benefit is there, correct. There are various government schemes, right? Janani Yojana, Jan Dhan Yojana, right? So these are a part of this unorganized sector work. And then second one is old age protection, right? This is also a part. So A, C, and D are the correct answer, right? Move to the next question. So by the end of 1933, which three old trade unions organizations were in existence? Okay. So again, आपको year पता होना चाहिए. So AITUC, light in short. AITUC, it is formed in 1920. The Red Trade Union Congress is found in 1931. National Trade Union Federation 1933, and Indian Trade Union Federation. Okay. See, from here I guess you got confused. Okay, till 1933. This is before 1933, again before 33, before 33, and in 33. So you're saying, okay, all the four are the answers, but no, in no option the four are given. And okay, see, there is a story like earlier. सबसे पहले form हुई AUTC in 1920, right? And who is the founder? Lala Lajpat Rai. Okay, so इसका split हुआ 1929 में सबसे पहले, then form हुई AITUF. Okay, again इसका split हुआ 1931 में, then इससे क्या बनी? RTUC, Red Trade Union Congress. All right. Okay, and ITUF ये इसका फॉर्मेशन हुआ 1930 में. ठीक है, अभी तक स्टोरी क्लियर है. AITUC फॉर्म हुई 1920 में, फर्स्ट स्प्लिट हुआ 1929 में, AITUF बनी. ये हमारे ऑप्शन में नहीं है, तो हमें इसका कोई रिलेशन नहीं है क्वेश्चन से, राइट. 1931 में सेकंड स्प्लिट हुआ है. सेकंड स्प्लिट से बना है हमारे पास क्या? रेड ट्रेड यूनियन कांग्रेस, राइट. एंड फिर एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनी है हमारे पास ITUF इन 1930. ओके, फिर क्या होता है? ओके, we'll use some another color. Okay, फिर क्या होता है? In April 1933, we have three organizations: ITUF, this one, plus AITUF and NFL. ये तीनों मर्ज हो जाती हैं कलकत्ता के अंदर, राइट. सो ITUF ये 1933 अप्रैल में मर्ज हो जाती है इन तीनों ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के साथ. ठीक है, तो 1933 के एंड तक ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एग्जिस्टेंस में नहीं है. इट गॉट मर्ज्ड विद AITUF and NFL, right? So these are the three organizations which will survive till the end of 1933. So what will be the correct answer? Correct answer is A, B, and C. A, B, and C. The first one is the correct answer, right?